What's up guys, I'm Josh Mosiman. Welcome to This Week in MXA, episode number 141, presented by O'Neill Racing. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode. The Ironman National was a gnarly one. It finished off the 11th round, the finale of the 2023 Pro Motocross season, and it was an exciting one. Chase Sexton kept us on the edge of our seats until the very last lap. He held on to Jett Lawrence, was just 1.7 seconds behind him at the finish line, and they were over a minute ahead of Aaron Plessinger, who is third place. So we got to have our hats off to Chase Sexton. Another second place, tough finish for him, but he was still so impressive. Last year, him and Eli Tomac pulled away from the pack. This year, it was Jett Lawrence who got all of the wins, every single moto, 22 motos in a row. But you can't knock Chase Sexton. He gave it his all, and he came back to the series because of the Super Motocross playoffs, because he wanted to gain points for that, and because he wanted to challenge Jett Lawrence. He didn't want to give him any extra confidence, so he knew that coming back to racing sooner would help that. We're happy to have Chase Sexton back at the races after he had that concussion after the Ironman National. Long story short, Chase Sexton on the podium. He did all but thank KTM on the podium. He said that he's excited for Super Motocross rounds. He's excited to put Supercross suspensions back on his Honda, but he's really excited for 2024 and beyond. So that's pretty exciting. It's good to see that he still has some confidence, and hopefully that switch of teams will help him be even more competitive against Jett Lawrence next year. Next, Jett Lawrence said one thing in the post-race press conference, that he had to push almost 95%, or at least 95%, to keep Chase Sexton at bay at the Ironman National. Now, why was that question asked? Aren't you supposed to give 100% every time you get on the motocross track? Well, that's what your parents ask for. That's what your trainers, your coaches ask for. That's what your sponsors ask for. That's what everybody does when they go and line up for a race. They give it their 100%. Well, Jett Lawrence, his secret is that he doesn't give it 100%. His level is so high that he's able to ride at 90, 80, 75% and make it look easy out there, and that helps him go even faster. It also helps his bike work even better. We talked about it, I think it was after Red Bud, when Jett Lawrence talked about him not being as physically strong as some of the other 450 riders, and the Honda 450 already being so fast and hard to hold on to, that he has to slow down, be more methodical over the bumps, and be more manageable with the throttle control around the track. And that is how he has learned to adapt to the bigger 454 stroke motorcycle. Well, that is also the secret to his success. This guy rides incredibly well. They talk about it on the TV broadcast for 2 hours straight every Saturday during his motos, and it's true. Because he's not pushing to 100%, he's not going to have the same fatigue. He's also not going to have the same arm pump. He's also not going to make the same mistake as the other riders who are going all out. It's been talked about on many different videos. It's been talked about by Ricky Carmichael and James Stewart in the booth. Because his level is so high, he's able to back it down, not ride as hard. When you're riding below your limit, you're able to see things coming at you slower. You're able to time the bumps easier. And long story short, Jett Lawrence has put on a clinic this summer because of that. So it was interesting to hear him say, even when Chase Sexton was pushing him, even when he didn't want to lose a moto and still claim that perfect season on the very last race of the year, he didn't even push 100%. He said he was only riding 95%. So that's pretty cool. And it's something that all riders should take a look at. And instead of, when we go on the track ourselves, instead of pushing to 100%, try to find that balance of the flow state of riding just below your limit, somewhere you can manage, somewhere you can ride longer, safer, and be more methodical when you're on the track. Hopefully that will lead to less injuries for the average rider like me, or the average rider who's watching this video. My next question about Jett Lawrence is, how will he do in the Super Motocross playoffs? Obviously, he's riding on a boatload of confidence after winning every moto this Pro Motocross season, and heading into Supercross next year, it's a little bit more of an unknown. He hasn't ridden Supercross on a 450 before, so this Super Motocross playoffs are actually going to work as a great warm-up for Supercross in 2024, and I think it's actually bad for the rest of the competition that he has the opportunity to race these Super Motocross playoff races. Why do I say that? Well, the SMX playoffs, they get 1 weekend off, then they start up 2 weeks after Ironman, straight into Supercross testing and Supercross riding. Those tracks will be at stadiums, but they won't have whoop sections. They're supposed to be hybrid style tracks, just like Monster Cup was a hybrid style track in the past. But none of the teams, none of the riders know exactly how it's going to turn out until we get to the first round in Charlotte. Long story short, Jett is going to be Supercross riding basically on a 450 these next 2 weeks to get ready for those events. He's going to go race these 3 events, and with the confidence he has now with the field, how they are now, and it's only going to help him build confidence for 2024, especially if he wins the Super Motocross playoffs. It's going to make him even more dangerous going into 2024, which makes me beg the question, could he win every Supercross race next year? Is that even possible, all 17 rounds? Well, another question we have is Cooper Webb. There's nothing official has been announced, but a lot of people have talked about him coming back to race the Super Motocross playoffs coming up in about a week and a half from the time this video posts, and everybody's pointing at him to be racing on a Yamaha at those races as well. So I haven't heard anything official. I haven't heard any rumors either, but looking forward to see if he shows up and which color he'll be riding if he does. Another note, everybody's favorite privateer, Ty Masterpool, unfortunately did not race at Ironman. He did the first qualifying session. He qualified 6th, but he was dealing with stomach pain that he had since he woke up. Turns out he had appendicitis. He had to go straight to the hospital, missed the rest of the day, missed second qualifying session. So very lucky that his appendix did not burst while he was on the track, and glad he was able to get to the hospital and get that checked out. So hopefully he'll be back, but it's going to be definitely difficult now with these Super Motocross playoffs coming up so quickly. And MXA, we are excited to hopefully test his bike. We're working out the details, but soon we'll have a test video and a test article testing Ty Masterpool's KX450. Looking forward to that, and hopefully all the stars align, but all things are looking like it's going to work out, so excited to share that with you guys. Talking on the 250 class, Justin Cooper was the only rider who really had a shot at winning the 250 championship. Unfortunately, going down in the second turn did not help him with that in the first moto, and it looked like it was all his own fault. Showing from the drone footage from Pro Motocross, you could see where he tags the outside handlebar of his teammate Daxton Bennick, causes him to go down and take out a few riders with him, like Pierce Brown, Julian Beaumer, and Talon Hawkins, as well as a few others. So bummer for Justin Cooper. It definitely took the excitement out of the 250 championship with him going down in the second corner. It also allowed for a much easier day for Hunter Lawrence. 5th in the first moto and 9th in the second moto was enough for him to easily win the 250 championship and make it a brother sweep. Also a Honda sweep, with Honda winning all 3 Supercross championships and both motocross championships, and now they have the Super Motocross playoffs coming up, so we'll see how Honda and the Lawrence brothers will do in that. Another really cool note I want to touch on, Jo Shimoda. Jo had a late flight leaving Budds Creek last weekend because of Hurricane Hillary, which turned out to be not much of a hurricane for Southern California, but he flew straight from Budds Creek. He missed the post-race press conference, hopped on a plane, and he made it back to San Diego super late at night. He didn't get home until 3 in the morning on Saturday. He said he felt like he was awake for almost 24 hours. I think it was actually true. He's awake for 24 hours. And because of that, he was tired all week leading up to Ironman. He only rode 5 laps at Glen Helen before getting back on a plane and flying to Ironman. Well, how did that work out for him? He went 1-1. First time ever he's gone 1-1 in an outdoor national, and he gets the overall win. That begs the question, are these riders overtraining? Are they too tired showing up to the races? Well, I would say so. There's a lot of history and statistics that point back. If you know the riders and you know the stories behind some of their races, it's sometimes the weeks where they didn't train at all or they took the whole week off, that's when they go out and win and ride amazing. So Jo Shimoda, really cool. Hopefully he learns from that, and maybe we see him and some of the other riders maybe learn from it as well to take it easier during the week. But obviously it's such a hard balance. I know as a racer myself, you want to continue testing, you want to continue training, you want to continue building on what you have, but sometimes your body just needs a rest, and obviously it worked out for Jo Shimoda. Also, Austin Forkner had a big crash in the second moto. Bummer for him. Sounds like he's okay, but he did not make the top 30 to get into the SMX playoffs as an alternate. So we all know the top 20 riders qualify directly into the main events at those SMX playoffs. The 21st through 30th, they are alternates that can race through an LCQ at the SMX playoffs to make it into the main events. Well, we know that some riders are injured and they won't be lining up at those races. For example, Jett Lawrence, obviously not injured, but he qualified in both 250 and 450 classes. He's only going to race 450 at the SMX playoffs. That opens up a spot. Chance Hymas, ACL surgery, that opens up a spot in the 250 class. So Jason Wygant said in the pre-race press conference that they're talking about opening up more slots for riders like Austin Forkner, who are on the bubble, to race those LCQs and make their way into the main events at the SMX playoff events. Long story short, it's going to be interesting. Nobody's done a playoff in Supercross or motocross before, and there's lots of unknowns still, but we're looking forward to covering it all here on Motocross Action Magazine. In other news, we just posted our 2024 Husqvarna FC450 tested video on our website and YouTube channel. We went and filmed in the hills of here of Southern California after the hurricane, but we were a little bit too late. Not enough moisture in the hills, but we still had some fun testing. The Husky FC450 is a great bike. Be sure to check out that video on our channel. Also, we have a lot of cool content coming from Mammoth. MXA's Trevor Nelson is up there, and he's wide open, taking photos, videos, interviews, getting all kinds of cool stuff. MXA's Dennis Stapleton, he was 4th in the vet weekend up at Mammoth in the 40+ A class. Jeremy McGrath, he got the win, but lots of cool stuff. Keep an eye out on our YouTube channel and website for more from there. Follow us on Instagram at Motocross Action Mag to stay tuned for more of what we're up to.